Hi, Kurt Mortensen here. Welcome back to Maximize Your Influence. Now, in this week's podcast, we talked about how do you influence without authority? How do you influence up? How do you influence to the side? Because those are different skills and techniques. It's easy when you're the boss, or you have control, you have the authority, you have the title. But a lot of times with the organization getting flatter, maybe you're selling to another organization, talking to a manager that's equal to you, learning to persuade others when you don't have that authority power is very different. And that was our focus on this week's podcast. But I want to clarify a few other things we talked about on the podcast, give you a little bit extra, a little bit more here. The geeky article of the week, we do this every week. This was in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology and the University of Notre Dame. This is the focus. They want us to find out what is the difference between arrogance and confidence. Because we all know there's a fine line there. When I talk about the 5 C's of trust, confidence and arrogance is always one of those things. Because we love confidence, but once you cross that line to arrogance, no trust, no likability, no persuasion. And so they found out that it all came back to your non-verbals. I mean, you could tell them how good you are and how confident you are, but when you did that, you crossed the line. But the confidence was revealed in your non-verbal behavior. And that's what I want to focus on. Since this is verbal and nonverbal, you can see me. I couldn't do that on the podcast, so I want you to focus on a few things. The first one they said was eye contact. Eye contact, we know that's critical, but with media and technology, a lot of people just aren't doing very well in the eye contact category. Now, we're not talking about 100% of the time, because if you stare at someone 100% of the time, you're either angry or falling in love, and those are things you probably don't want in the persuasion process. I guess it depends what you're doing. In fact, the eyes are so powerful, you can take a band of women the same age, have them sit knee to knee and stare in each other's eyes, they start having amorous feelings towards each other. Try it at work. See what happens. But the average eye contact's around 70% around the world. Mirror their eye contact. Make sure you're not wearing sunglasses, because when they can't see your eye, that hurts that connection and can hurt your confidence. Number 2, your gestures, like I'm doing now. Now, I've trained thousands of people on persuasive presentations and public speaking, and gestures are one of the first things we need to fix. Couple things with gestures. Keep your gestures from your shoulders to your hips. This is a good space. You don't want to come too high. Your front row might think you're going to hit them. It's a subconscious thing. But here's where people blow it. Maybe their hands are in their pocket or they're flailing too much. I love gestures. Gestures are a good thing. Here's probably the thing that you need to fix. You know, your whole life you've been told don't fold your arms, right? We know that. But what people tend to do is the fig leaf, right? The fig leaf, that's actually what they call it. Reverse fig leaf. That is what they call it. But what happens is they gesture and they come back here. They do this or this or this. And it's a barrier. It's a lack of confidence. You're protecting your organs. It's a subconscious thing. Practice gesturing and coming back down to your sides. That is more confident. I mean, it's not a big deal and it's not a big presentation. Don't worry about it. But if you want confidence, you got to gesture and come back down to your side. A lot of people do that. Again, it's a subconscious thing. You're trying to protect yourself, and you don't need to do that in that situation. Don't make fists. Keep it open. That's more confident. Making fists, that's not a good one. But we see that quite a bit. Just with your gestures, you make fists, you clench. Work on your gestures. Number 3, here's an interesting one. Expansive posture. Bigger, eat more, bigger clothes. No, it's the way you walk into a room. Shoulders back, right? You want to walk like you're confident, act like you're confident, even if you don't feel that way. It's a way to do it, because people, when they have low self-esteem, or even when I teach detecting deception, taking up less space, when people are nervous, take up your space. Not more than you need. You don't need a man spread or do these other things, but walk in, take up your space, sit erect in your chair, how you talk to people, don't slouch, things your mom taught you. That's what we're talking about here. Number 4, their voice, right? Your vocal variety. I call it maximum influence. I call it verbal packaging. So every word you use can attract or repel. But what they're talking about in this study is your voice. Deeper voices are more credible, so you should smoke more. Okay, I'm kidding, but they are more credible. Deeper, learning to inflect down at the end of a sentence gives you more confidence. Now, there are times to inflect up and lower your voice to grab people's attention, but inflecting down is more confidence. Volume, we don't want to sound like you're yelling or you're too hard to hear. That could be a challenge. You want to make sure your vocal fillers. That's another one of the first things we fix with public speakers. Persuasive presentations. A few here and there, not a big deal. But when you're using the ones over and over again, or if you've heard this presentation like a knife stab in you, but it's not a good thing. So work on your vocal fillers, and probably what you need to work on, I'd say 95% of the time, is your rate. Your rate of speech. It's important. If I speak slow, you want to hit me, but if I speak really fast, it can cause tension. So what's the answer? Increase your rate. The faster you speak, hold on, without sounding like a fast talker, the more persuasive you are, the more charismatic you are. This is very important. Now, you're still speeding up, you're still pausing, you're changing your rate, just overall average rate. Don't want you to sound like the fast talker, but increase your rate. Number one, you're more charismatic, you're easier to listen to, you're rated with more energy, and the most important thing about that, it gives your audience less time to think of counter arguments because their bandwidth is keeping up with you. Just saying, that's important. I want to clarify some of those things we talked about on the podcast. Thanks for being here. Go to MaximizeYourInfluence.com for more information on the podcast, to take your persuasion IQ, to get the free book, Maximum Influence. Makes all the difference. Master these skills and go out and persuade with power.